Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about house hushing. It's the start of a new year, and we're longing for calm and quiet spaces after the hustle and bustle of the holidays. Let's get started. Listeners, today we are talking about house hushing. And you may or may not have heard of this term, but the more I Googled it, the more I saw articles talking about it. So I know it is something that's out there. And we just felt like at the beginning of a year is when we all are in the declutter, get our lives back to normal mode. And this house hushing just really spoke to us. So Julie, Mindy, and I, we're like down with the Christmas decorations and in with the house hushing. And we want to explain what that is. But before we even get to that, Julie and Mindy, it's just so needed. Is it needed in your house as much as it's needed in mine?
Yes, it just feels good to, a lot of people think it looks too bare, but I like it that way for just a little while.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And even before you guys sent this topic, and Julie, you sent us some articles to read to kind of learn about what it meant, I had been in the process of doing the things in the article. And I'm like, naturally, like every part of me was desiring this form of decluttering, I guess. So yes, very much timely in my life.
Yes. All right. Well, Julie, why don't you explain to listeners what house hushing is?
Well, this idea comes from Myquillyan Smith, who has the Nester account on Instagram, and she's written some best-selling books, and I just love her ideas. But for house hushing, she says, as time goes on, we accumulate more and more stuff in our house naturally, and over time, we have to manage that stuff. And she says everything in our house has a voice, either by like its physical presence, its size, even its color. Sometimes certain colors scream louder than others. And I think at Christmas, all that red and green and sparkle just gets really noisy. So hushing, she calls house hushing reverse decluttering. And it kind of took me a minute to get my mind around what she meant by that. But she said most of the time when people declutter, they're thinking, what do I want to get rid of? And it takes a lot of mental decision making. But what she does, particularly after Christmas, is just take everything away, start in one room and just kind of take everything that's non-essential away. So blankets, pillows, tchotchkes, everything's sitting around. She even did a bookcase where she took everything off the bookcase. And she said, just put it away in a holding place, like another room, and just live with it empty for 24 hours. Then, so you get that instant reward of a hushed house. Then decide what you want to put back in, which is so fun because it's like, oh, you're shopping your house, you're redecorating, you get to come up with a new plan. And then if you don't want all that stuff back in, then you can decide, store it, get rid of it, sell it, whatever. But, I don't know. It's a neat idea. And I find that, like you, Mindy, I've kind of always done that. I just didn't come up with the cute alliteration and,
right.
I wish I had.
I was thinking back on past episodes, and it seems like in January for the last 5 years, I know at least Mindy and I talk about this. We're like so thankful when everybody goes back to school and all the decorations are put away. And I think it's because we just instinctively long for house hushing in every form.
Yeah, literal hushing.
It is. And it's a reset. It's almost like the house then starts to match what's outside. It's a little more bare. There's not as much going on. And it's just a clean, bare feeling that I find enjoyable after all the fun. I mean, you need both. Like you want the Christmas season, you want the New Year's, you want all the sparkle and the red and the green, and you want all the people. And then it's like everything just kind of pauses and takes a break and takes a breath.
Yeah. She also says that you become house blind to all the visual stuff you see daily. So when you quiet the room or hush it, you just get a sense of peace and you kind of see things with fresh eyes. which is
Yeah.
really true.
Right, right. At this time of year, it definitely starts with taking down the Christmas decorations. So when do you guys normally start taking down your Christmas decor?
I normally wait till New Year's Day or after because I could still consider that the holiday. So I like to see it. And one thing I started doing last year is I take the ornaments off my tree and leave the lights on. And I'm going to keep it up for a few more weeks. It's a small pencil tree, so it doesn't take up space. So I took everything else down, even the exterior decorations, and I just am going to leave my tree up for the light.
Yeah, I think that's
That
very
sounds
cozy.
Beautiful. Well, I felt like I was developing new habits this year all the way around. So like my house ended up getting decorated early for Christmas. Like I actually started on Halloween. Woo! So much fun. I would have never done that before, but I was hosting a Christmas party. So anyways, I loved it. So I'm not committing myself in the future. So I'm just telling you what I did this year.
Right.
So I started decorating on Halloween. And then I found that when the last bit of company left, which was closer to like the 29th of December, there was a natural inclination towards taking things out. Though I left my trees up for like 2 days and then I was ready to get rid of those too. So really like that first whole weekend after Christmas, it was probably a 3-day process and it was all done. And it just like the more and more I did, the more I wanted to do because it just felt so good, so clean, so fresh.
I know every year I think, well, I'm just going to take this down. And then as I get rolling, it's like, nope, it just starts all coming down.
Oh, I know.
So I thought, I'll leave the front door lights on, the garland. And then that came down too. I just.
Yeah. I must have like an internal amount of time I can stand everything out. Like if I've put it out before Thanksgiving, then the day after Christmas, I've often taken it down. If I put it out after Thanksgiving, then I can usually make it last until after the New Year. Maybe I must have like an internal 5 or 6 week type time limit on how long I can have all that stuff out and still be enjoying it. This year, I did make it until a couple days into the New Year. But I think because I had gone longer than I usually do, it made me take everything down. Because if I do take down my tree the day after Christmas, usually I'll leave all my wintery Christmassy decorations out sometimes till the end of February, if they're just like snow related or things like that. But this year, because I took my tree down later, it just made me want to take everything down. So yeah, it's just how it is.
Well, yeah, when you have all that extra stuff in your house, you just kind of accept that for Christmas. Like there's just more stuff. It's a little more crowded. Things are maybe rearranged or out of place. And then when you have more people, there's just more stuff laying around too. And you just accept that because it's Christmas, but then you want to take back your house.
Yes.
Right. All right. Well, just a couple more thoughts on decorations. As you guys were putting things away this year, did you pare down? Have you gotten rid of things this year?
I did. I have some of those green tubs in the attic that I keep everything in, and I was able to pare it down by 1 tub.
That's good.
So,
well, that's a big deal.
And I think I did that last year too, because so when I packed it back this year, I cleared 1 tub totally out. I gave everything to Goodwill that I was going to get rid of. And everything that was out this year, I put in that 1 tub. So I would know like, this is the stuff I want to use and put out, especially since it was the first year in this house. I didn't know what I wanted. And then I put nativities because I have a bunch of nativities. I put all that in 1 box and labeled it. And then I had ornaments in a box.
Okay.
So now it'll just be easier next year to not have to go through a bunch of stuff I didn't use,
Right. No, I think that's really smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
We kind of did something similar. And actually, that was the point I was going to bring up is the 3 of us, you guys a lot more recently than me, but have newer homes. And so new to us homes. And so learning kind of how to decorate and what you need, it's a learning process when you move. And so we found that this year the things that I didn't decorate with stayed in tubs. So then when those tubs came back out, Bryce moved them to donate. Like he took all of the stuff out of the tubs. He's like, okay, we haven't used this. It's been a couple years now. It's not going to get used. He said, why don't you send a picture to like Abby and Joey and see if they want any of this? So I did. Like, there's just a pile of them. Like, you want anything?
No, that's good.
And then I donated the rest, and I've already dropped it. It's gone. Bryce organized the Christmas in the closet, and I don't know if we saved any tubs, Julie. That's a good note. Like, you went down by one. I don't know if we went down or not. But
yeah.
Well, Marie, did you notice in the neighborhood how many people put up on their Facebook? They just had Christmas decorations on their front porch and said free. Whoever wants to come get it.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess a lot of people do that.
Yeah, they were done decorating and this is what they had left. And so if anyone else wanted it, you could come by and get it.
How clever.
Yeah. Well, what about the sentimental things that maybe you don't put out? I have a few sentimental things that I haven't put out in a few years, but I'm not really ready to get rid of it. And I'm kind of waiting for maybe my 3 younger ones to get married and maybe then I can offer, something to them. In general, I've tried to pare that stuff down, but there are still some things. What do you guys do with your sentimental items that you're not really using?
Well, I had 3 or 4 things that I didn't put out this year, and I did save them. Because like you said, Maria, I wanted to, it was something Molly had made and something Andrew had made and David. And I thought, I need to check with them to see if they want it. And I'm willing to hold on to it a little while longer.
I don't have anything that fits in that category.
Okay. It's okay. Well, consider yourself lucky that you've pared down, Mindy, to just what you use.
Listen, every time you move, you go through your stuff.
Oh, for sure.
We've gone through it a lot. So I think we've pared it down.
Yes. Well, where do you guys store your Christmas stuff? I store mine just in a little room off the bathroom that has a door to the attic. I don't have to climb anywhere anymore to go get it out, which is nice. Where do you guys store yours?
Yeah, this house has an attic that's off our bonus room, so you just walk in. It's level. And I will say, though, it had very little flooring, just enough to hold the Christmas stuff. So it kind of made it hard to get in the door. And yet the attic is huge. So I floored the attic last week.
Julie,
There's nothing that Julie cannot do
to amaze me. This is so cool. Like plywood or like what'd you do?
I screwed down 2x4s over the rafters to raise it up because there was some wiring in there and stuff. And then I bought plywood, and the plywood that was already there had that little tongue and groove edge. So it fit perfectly. And then I could push all the Christmas stuff back onto the new flooring, and that left the whole other flooring like where you could walk in and get to it.
Oh,
I really
my goodness.
kind of think they should have done that themselves, the people that built the house.
Right.
But I had to have my son's help carrying it because it weighed like 80 pounds. But other than that, it was pretty fun to do.
Oh, that's great. Yes.
Wow. Wow, you just changed the whole way you could use your house. Okay.
I do like that it's walk-in. That's so much nicer than having to climb stairs. And
yes, yes.
Myquillyan said about paring down. She did say it was the easiest time to do that was when it was fresh. Like when, like, don't think you'll do it next Christmas because that's when everything's supposed to be fun. You're getting it out, and you don't want to think that. So the best time to do it is after you've just used it, because then
right.
Oh, I didn't use this. I don't care about this anymore. So it makes more sense to do it now than it does next year.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's assume that everyone's Christmas decorations are put away because by the time this comes out, most people will have. And how does this blank slate in January make you feel?
Peaceful, calm.
Like I have a new lease on life. Anything is possible.
Yeah. It's like clearer in my head and thoughts. And then I start thinking, what can I do to my house? Now that I can see it again.
Yeah. It feels like a good night's sleep, a really good nap, like just a really great reset.
Reset is a good word.
Yes. All right. Well, it sounds like we all have words that are like peaceful, quiet. So let's get into the house hushing. Like Julie said, it's where you take everything out and live with it for about 24 hours empty, and then you can start to put things back. Have you ever tried this thing before? I know we've all tried decluttering, but have you ever tried this actual method?
I have been doing this after Christmas for a while just because when I put things out for Christmas, I often put away some of my normal stuff. Like we have a lot of framed family photographs on our piano or our mantle. So when I'm putting out Christmas, I don't try to just keep it all. I just, when the Christmas tubs are empty because I've gotten all the decor out to use, I put our regular stuff in those boxes.
Oh, that's
and
a good
so
idea.
like all the picture frames and things that are, pillows that aren't Christmas, I just put those in the box in the attic during the Christmas season. And then, so when I undecorate for Christmas, a lot of my stuff is gone. It is very bare. And I'll just leave it that way for a day. I did it this week and slowly, now I got to redecorate my mantle because I hadn't really done that before and decide, what I want to put back out and what I don't need.
Did you find that you put out less than you had before Christmas on your mantle?
No, just different.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just fun to start over.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this was new for me, but I was really, really encouraged to quiet my busiest room. And that was our eat-in kitchen. Because during the Christmas season, the table was as big as it could be with the leaf in. And we didn't even have enough chairs. Like we were pulling up, bar stools to the table to get everybody to fit at certain times. And like I have an antique buffet in that room. And that's where my nativity was. And I had some greenery and things like that. And so I just really, really wanted that room to be calmer and quieter. And so when I put all of the Christmas away, I just couldn't wait. Like I was so excited to see the antique buffet to be bare. And then even the table, like I thought I was done, but I was like, you know what? I really, really just want to quiet the table by making it small and round. I happen to love round dining tables. And even though we have 5 people currently living here all the time, I thought we can fit 5 people around a round table for a while. I needed it to be smaller, more attainable, just more intimate, I guess, in a way. So I even took the leaf out and it just brought me so much joy, like to clear off that buffet, to make the table smaller, less chairs, just less activity, brought tremendous joy.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you get to see something new. I mean, you probably hadn't had your table like that in a while.
No.
Just having some blank surfaces is nice.
So nice. Well, I wondered, like what Bryce would say. And he commented several days later. He said, I really like the table round. And I was like, oh, good. Because, I was hoping they weren't going to tease me like, yeah, we can barely fit. No, it was like, oh, I really like this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when you guys declutter, like when you are feeling like your house is too noisy and you need to just calm it down, what is the room that you tend to start with?
Well, I think Mindy said her kitchen seems to be the noisiest. And I would say that's true because in our house, you have to pass through the kitchen when you come in from the garage. So it's a dumping ground. And I heard somebody else use this term and it made me laugh. The island in my kitchen is very large. And so somebody called it the continent. I thought,
oh, yeah.
Yes, so drop it on the continent because the bigger the surface, then more it can just hold more,
Yes.
So I always want to put, like, oh, it'd be so nice to keep your beautiful KitchenAid mixer out there or like a snack stand or whatever. But after Christmas, I just want it totally empty because I know it's going to accumulate stuff. So I never know how to find that balance of like pretty decorative stuff mixed in with all your junk that lands there.
Right.
Just never looks good.
No. Is that what you usually start with first too, Mindy, is the kitchen?
Well, it was definitely, my eating kitchen was where my my starting was, but also ironically the master bedroom. Since we've moved in, we're pretty minimalist with the things that we have decorated. I don't need a lot of stuff. I really like just to have the right things. But literally, I only had one picture hung in our master bedroom, and it has annoyed me ever since I hung it up, like probably almost a year. And there was something about after Christmas, I was like, I'm done with you. And all I did was take it down. Like, I don't care if it's bare. I took it down and I actually took it upstairs. We have kind of a open bonus area for the bedrooms that are upstairs. And I moved it up there and I love it up there. And I love my master bedroom with nothing hung up on the wall.
Yeah.
And so it was like my master bedroom and my eating kitchen. And it's just been so lovely.
Oh, I can definitely see that.
The thing Myquillyan says is once you've kind of moved everything out and it's bare, you're real protective of that. You're going to be very selective because you don't want to wreck that that peace and calm. So you're going to be more selective about what you bring in because you're enjoying it so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you'll find the right picture eventually.
Yeah. I would say that I usually start out with the kitchen too, just because I just feel like if my kitchen isn't clean, then nothing is clean. But I quickly start, ticking off the rooms then. All right, now the living room. Okay, now the master bedroom. And the kids better get ready because I'm coming for you. I'm coming for even your room. But I do tend to start out in the kitchen. And then I usually end up coming to my husband's closet and I'll be like, let's for 15 minutes, let's just go through your shirts. Like whatever we get done in 15 minutes.
I love it. You always start with Steve.
You do. His shirts. You had mentioned this before. Right before Christmas, my husband happened to go through the boys' drawers. I don't know why. Like he had a free moment and he loves nothing more than to declutter, get rid of, organize spaces. Okay. Like that's truly a gift. He does it at every Airbnb we go to. Organizes their garages and kitchens. That's a whole nother story. He found some clothes in Jacob's drawers that still had tags on it. So we literally wrapped them up and gave them to him for Christmas.
That's funny.
Did he recognize them?
His reaction was so good because he opened them up. He's like, "Oh, I really like these. I really like these." And then he starts thinking, he's like, "Wait, like these are a little bit like, wait, I think I saw these before." Bryce and I we're dying laughing.
I really like them, but I've never worn them.
Okay. So then the other thing we did is he had some socks. He's really into designer socks. Well, some of them we gave to Nathan. They were brand new with tags on them. We gave them to Nathan for Christmas. And he was like, "Wait, those are my socks." So they were in your drawer for a year, dude. You lost the privilege.
I know. Beware. I know. I like that too. Okay, well, let's talk about what seems the noisiest. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be a room, but what is the noisiest thing in your house that you've been noticing?
Well, the garage is always noisy. So I said, when it gets a little warmer, I'm going to be on round 3. I went through everything when we moved and then when we moved in, and now it's time for round 3.
Okay.
But one other thing that I like to start with is my bathroom, because the under the sink and the makeup drawer and all that just kind of gets messy, often. And so that's a good place to start because there's nothing sentimental in your bathroom. You don't have to feel bad about going through anything. It's just chunk it, or, if it's expired or broken or messed up or whatever, or I've got 3 cans of hairspray or whatever, just kind of, it's easy to whittle down in 30 minutes. And then you get inspired to, like you said, Marie, okay, what's next? Kind of jump starts you.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Yeah. I was looking around and I feel like the noisiest things to me felt like what I once put out because they would look cozy. So I feel like all the pillows and the blankets on furniture, or when the bed is made nicely, they look awesome. But in real life, very few times are all the things put back. A lot of them are laying in a floor in the corner. Or I felt like a lot of that stuff that I put out because it was a pretty vignette or cozy, those things ended up feeling very noisy to me. So I don't know how to bridge the gap, because if no one was using the rooms, yeah, I love that pillow, blanket, little book on the end table. But if people are over, all that stuff is just pushed aside and on the floor, and now it's just a mess. And so that stuff screams at me.
Right. That makes so much sense.
Maybe have a big basket that blankets go in and keep one out. You know, or even pillows. A place you could put them that's not the floor, maybe.
Right. I guess this happens a lot in bedrooms in particular. Yeah. Because like with people not living here full time, when I decorated the bedrooms, I made them look aesthetically pleasing. But then when people actually come into the bedroom, the first thing they do is whip off that extra blanket, whip off that pillow. Their stuff is everywhere. And all of a sudden, that stuff that was aesthetically pleasing is just mess.
It's in the way. It's getting stepped on, eaten on, thrown on the floor.
Yes. And I was thinking the same things about, like, Julie, I love your house. When I go over, I admire, you know, Julie has like a pretty stack of books and like a glass container with maybe some shells and a candle and maybe a teacup like on a coffee table. Like, I love
the list goes on.
And maybe
I love the look of all of that. I really do. Like, when you take a picture or you're looking through magazines, you know, they brought in flowers, they brought in this, like, it's not just the island, you know, they brought in fruit. When I try to do that in my house, though, it ends up driving me nuts, because if I decorate the middle of my kitchen table and everyone's over, they're just pushing all that to the side. Or now I've got to gently remove it and find another place where it's not going to get ruined to store it. Because in the end, you know, if it's on my coffee table and they want their feet up there, or it's like, okay, Mom, move all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do you guys find a happy medium about those noisy items?
Well, I tend not to do a big centerpiece for that reason, because I got tired of moving it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I try to put flowers elsewhere. Like,
But you do still have a lot of things on your surfaces, though, and they're beautiful, and you don't seem annoyed by them. Tell us your secret.
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me, but I do try to have some empty spots, you know, for.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that your house is cluttered. I'm just saying, like, you had a beautiful blanket on your dining room table, and I thought, all right, Isaac sits down to eat eggs and a big blueberry smoothie. Okay, there's the end of that blanket. Like, that's just not going to work.
Well, she doesn't have an Isaac at home. That's the difference.
I have a David at home, but I try to keep him contained. You know, like, you get one room to be met, and I don't ever go up there. I don't ever look at it, because if I do, it's like I cringe. But yeah, try to keep it contained to one room.
Yes. Isn't that the balance, though? Even like if you have a guest room, I know my mom has said before, you know, like, you know, this room was so beautiful, but we had nowhere to put our suitcase, or we had no space around the sink to, you know, get ready in the morning or whatever. And so like, I think about this and I'm like, okay, so we've got to strike the balance, even in a guest room where it's usable and there's space, there's floor space, that maybe even the top of a dresser or buffet or whatever, there's some space. You know, you don't want it to be so beautiful that people can't use it.
So those are noisy items to me. Like, what in your house is just like, oh man, I got to do something about this. I can't sit on the couch and relax because that's really bothering me.
Well, I have one particular space that was really, really getting to me. And this was even before the Christmas season. I was anticipating a lot more people a lot more fun, late nights, things like that. And I thought, I really need to protect my sleep. And the one thing that gets me is the boys' gaming area is upstairs in that open bonus room area. So all of their noise travels down the stairs very easily. We did that on purpose. We were like, okay, well, we want their gaming to be like they have their own space, but also like we can still hear them. We can talk to them if we need to or whatever. Well, our bedroom is right at the bottom of the stairs. So if they're gaming till midnight, I'm not sleeping. Like I'm hearing them. Like they're loud, laughing, cackling. They're talking to each other over their headphones. Like all three boys will game together. And it's the sweetest thing, but drives me nuts when I'm trying to sleep. So before Christmas, I was like, I asked Bryce, I said, hey, can we be bad parents at this point? Like, can we say we're done with the gaming where we can hear them and let them move their gaming desk to their rooms? Because I will sleep so much better if Nathan moves his desk and gaming to his room and Jacob moves his. And you guys, it was so beautiful because the day that they did that, like, of course, we got to go through their bedrooms and get those set up. But then I was able to make a calm seating area upstairs. So the chaos of the room is now gone. The boys are keeping their stuff in their rooms. So when you first go up the stairs, the one picture that I didn't like in my room is right there that I love now. All there is a seating area, some books, a table, and a lamp and a rug. Like it is the most peaceful. Like you walk upstairs and it's like, oh, like I can relax now. Instead of walking upstairs and you're like, there's cords and monitors and desks and chairs and the whole, I mean, there's just stuff everywhere. That has changed my home and I was able to sleep. And I just had to be okay with being done, you know, being a good parent and having their gaming where I could listen to them. I was done.
Well, you've graduated, Mindy. You've graduated in that area.
I think we've had conversations about this. You guys know everything's set up. You're good to go. All right, just let me sleep.
And because of technology, they can still talk to each other.
Right.
They are. They're talking to each other across the top of the house and one in the basement.
Right. No, that's really good that you identified an area of your home that was bothering you. It was keeping you up. It was a source of contention. You probably subconsciously or maybe even knew, like every time you went to walk up there, it was like a dread of, oh, I hate how this looks. You know, we don't, you almost don't even want to go up there. You don't even want to know.
No. Now I want to go upstairs and I'll turn the lamp on. Like nobody turns the lamp on but me, but it's so pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
I could relate. We have an upstairs bonus room that's kind of a library TV room. And I honestly don't go up there much anymore. I mean, you know, I just don't. And so that's kind of David's hangout because it's just right outside his bedroom. And for some reason, I don't even understand how everything works. Like he has I guess it's an Xbox under the cabinet. And somehow, instead of running a black cord from the back of the Xbox to the TV or whatever, it was a giant white HDMI cord that came out the front and just hooked from the front to the front of the TV. And it was real long, you know, like 25 feet. And it just looked hideous to me, you know, a big white cord coming out the front of the cabinet, whereas that's the whole reason you have the cabinet to hide it all, you know.
Right.
So I know like gaming stuff is not attractive and it's hard to, because they don't want to put it up when they're done. And, you know, I don't even know what it was there for. So over Christmas, he was gone. I just went and unhooked it all and ran it to the back. I mean, ran it to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully it didn't mess up anything.
Well, did he even notice? Did he even
He's
notice
never said a word.
No. Okay.
No.
Oh, so man, my boys would be like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about if there are seasons or circumstances where you need a more hushed environment. Like, have there been times where you just felt like, okay, normally I don't mind that my bookshelves are... I read an Instagram post the other day about bookshelf wealth. I think that's what it was called, in quotes, bookshelf wealth or something. And it's like a style of where There's tons of different things on your bookshelf, books intermixed with pictures, intermixed with things you've collected. And it's like its own thing. And I love that look. But maybe there's seasons of my life where I just need two things on my bookshelf. Like, are there times when you just need more hushed environment?
Well, I'll say after people have been here, that tends to be a time when I want to quiet things, because with people comes stuff, and I don't mind their stuff when they're here, but it is a lot more, especially like with babies and, and with David living here. I'm grateful that they're here. It's just after they're gone, it's just, you do enjoy the little bit cleaner, look. And, I don't know, Marie, when you said that about the bookshelf, that reminded me on my home Instagram account, No Place Like Home 615 that I have. One time I posted a picture of our bookcases, and one of the comments was, "Oh, I just love this that you posted it in all its," she didn't say mess, but it was like non-perfection, which I was kind of going for the perfected look. And
like, I just thought it was perfection.
Funny. Yeah, like that it was like, haphazard and not, I don't know, but I said something to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I think she meant that as a compliment," which I think she probably did, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a style, like, I mean, it's its own style. Like, I love a bookshelf laden down with collected items, but other people might not.
Right. I'll say maybe a season in life where there's a lot of change or you're anticipating change. We did a podcast recently about senior year, and I have a senior in high school this year. And I just feel like I need my house to be uncomplicated. I need it to be in order because there's a lot of conversations around, the next steps for my son, Jacob. So,
yeah. I would say the more people that are home, the more hushed I need the environment to be. If anyone were to drop in and really look at my house during the year when Steve is traveling, I'm home alone, you would say, "Oh my goodness, it looks like a bomb went off in here." I don't put things away. There's stuff all over the place. There's dirty dishes in the sink.
Oh, I thought you were going to say just the opposite.
No. If it's only me at home, that stuff doesn't bother me. Because I know I'll get to it and it's just me. But the more people that come home, like even if Steve comes home, all right, now I need a more calm environment. And then if there's kids at home, okay, now I need it to be even cleaner. It's like the more people that come in, the more I deal with all the stuff going on around me by trying to streamline and make my environment less busy. And so if I'm home by myself, none of that bothers me. One time Steve came home unexpectedly from a trip and I was out for a walk with Julie and he texted me and said he was already home. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed. He's going to see how I really live." And I just don't do hardly anything because it's just me coming and going. And I know I'll get to it eventually and I could clean it up. But if I have the kids at home, or even Steve at home, all of a sudden, all that stuff just really starts to bother me. And it's not really about them. I think it's about the fact that now there's more people and more going on. So I need the environment to be more hushed.
Right. I so relate with that.
Do you?
Very much. I do. Because when the boys are home over Christmas break, I told them that's just, to give them time to clean up all their stuff. And so then I end up giving them lists of like deep cleaning things, like even vacuuming out like dead bugs in their empty attic spaces in their rooms. I'm like, I'm checking, I'm like, you get the hose in there, I mean, these things, I just feel great. And, when they do that.
Yeah. I think it's a way of kind of trying to regain some control or like just feeling like something isn't chaotic or I don't know.
That's interesting because I really thought you were going to say the opposite. And because I think I am the opposite. I deal with it when everybody's here as this is just the way it is. And then when they leave, I go back to, because when I'm by myself, I like everything to be really neat,
Yes.
So yeah. And back to what you were saying about I do have more stuff out than probably your average person. And I like that. But where I like to have some calm is, like I like my bookshelves full and I have picture frames and books and things I've collected, but I always like there to be some empty space if something else were that I wanted to put on there. Like there will be room. Like in a closet, I want one empty shelf. I want one empty cabinet. I want one, I don't like everything to just be full to the max.
Right.
Knowing like there's not room for one more thing in here. I don't like that feeling. So that's where I need to declutter is I like that feeling of the behind the scenes stuff to know that there's some empty space in there.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah. All right. Well, what are some pain points in your house? Like, what are some points that you feel are constantly getting noisy and you hush them back down and then they're constantly getting noisy? Have you identified any of those? And what have you tried to do to alleviate it?
There's so many. The junk drawer.
Okay.
I think in my old house, I said I had 2 and then I pared it down to 1. And it was a small drawer. And then in this house, I have a drawer that's probably 24, 30 inches wide. It's under my microwave. And that was just the only drawer left to be my junk drawer. So that's huge.
That could allow you to collect a lot of junk.
Yes. And so it is full right now. And, we open it and the drawer gets stuck because there's something poking up. And so I don't know what all that stuff is, but I try to keep it off the island. So I just chunk it in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I go through that probably.
Is that
every
your
month.
only pain point, Julie?
No, the garage is a huge one. And my linen closet, I don't know where that stuff comes from. It multiplies. And craft closet. I did pare that down when we moved, but I know it's going to grow again. So it's mostly behind doors.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Mindy, do you have any pain points?
I have 4.
Okay.
Their names are.
That's true.
Actually, I better say, there's 3.
Okay.
3 pain points named Grant, Jacob, and Nathan. And we have a coming in room off of the garage. I love this part of my house. Thank goodness. Even my real estate agent commented on how clever this design was when she was showing us the house. And she's so right. There is a coming in room, kind of like a mud room, almost that like kitchen office area. Well, it's separate. Like you walk through that and then you can go to the left and then there's another door to the laundry room, or you can go through a doorway on the right to go into the house. Well, that coming in room, like there's some built-ins there. Like the boys should reasonably be able to hang up their book bags. They don't. I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys and show you what this room looks like that I just ignore. Because there are a million pairs of shoes. There's work pants, belts, clothes that they change out of and don't take places. There's everything. Everything is there. So I'm just going to send you guys a picture because until they leave the house, I think this will continue to be a pain point.
Yes.
Yeah. So they try to take over my kitchen island, but that's my space. So I fight for that. And so they'll, cups and just clutter that, that they don't clean up fully, maybe don't push the chair in. Well, those things drive me bonkers. I like things to be in order in certain places. And the kitchen is one of those places. So dishes, napkins, crumbs, cups, that's a constant battle that I'm willing to fight. I will call you and tell you to come back. I'm not touching it. Like I keep thinking they're going to learn, because I'm not doing it. I don't know that they're going to.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely say my biggest pain point is surfaces like countertops, tables, things like that. I constantly feel like I'm cleaning them off. This house does have a big island, Julie. Like, I love how you refer to it as the continent. And I myself can't even keep myself from just putting stuff down. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like you come in and you just lay what you were carrying on it. And it's not preventing you from making dinner later. So you really don't have a reason to necessarily move it off unless you just can't stand looking at it. And so I do find that, or on another area of my kitchen, I'll put like things I mean to get to, like bills, estimates, information about something, coupons, just anything that I think I'm going to get to later, and it just piles up. And I hate to put it behind closed doors, because putting it behind closed doors is kind of the kiss of death for me. I'm probably not going to get it back out. I'm probably not going to see it in time. I'll forget about it. So I tend to keep it out where I fool myself and tell myself, oh, you'll get to this. And then coming and going in our house, we used to enter through the garage, and now I'm the only one that does. And so a lot of stuff is getting left at the front door, and that's really bothering me. And Steve's like, but you haven't found me a place to put my stuff. And that's true, but there isn't necessarily a place. Like, you might have to walk 10 or 12 extra steps to the closet. Like, I don't know. And then the kids have to park in the street because it's just not as big of a driveway as we had before. And so they're coming in the front door, and then they just plop their stuff down. And it's a pain point for me that I have not quite. What things I've done to alleviate is I've tried to hang up hooks. I've tried to have baskets. I've tried to say, hey, here's a spot where you can put this, or, but it's a learning curve, I mean, this is still a new place to us. And so we don't quite have it down, but it definitely is a pain point for me. I want to find a solution, because I feel like as I look down the hallway at the front door, that's noisy to me with all that stuff there.
Right. Yeah. And you don't necessarily want it there. Even if you could hang it up, you don't necessarily want it hanging right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that, surfaces are just hard for me to keep clean. Like, I want those vignettes like you see in magazines, but they just don't work in my house.
I know.
So, but let's talk a little bit about hushing, like maybe some of the benefits you saw, even thinking about it just for the few days that you thought about it this week. Like, what are some of the benefits that you derived from this, even getting ready for this podcast? Well, one of the things I felt was that it just allowed me to see things from a new perspective. Like, moving everything out of something really, and you put your hands on it, it really makes you look at like, okay, well, maybe I need this. Maybe this would work better over here. Mindy, even with your picture, like just removing it from the wall gave your mind the mental freedom to think, oh, actually, this might work upstairs. Whereas if you just kept it hanging there, you knew you didn't like it, but your mind just couldn't move to the next step. So I feel like that identifying of, well, what do I own? And how could I use it differently?
And it kept her from just buying something else. Like, she already had the right picture. It just, it needed to go upstairs.
It's the wrong spot.
Yeah.
One of the things I zeroed in on was the 24-hour period, the waiting period. This meant a lot to me the more I thought about it, because even if let's see, I wrote, let me read what I wrote.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I zeroed in on this 24-hour waiting period. It gives the space time to breathe. It reminded me how important time is in the process of hushing. And it's time to wait, time to heal, time to breathe. Time is a crucial in giving the space room for new growth, creativity, and possibly even healing. And this is something that made me think about times I need to hush the things that I'm even consuming, like with food, drinks. And so if I could kind of to like even fasting, not so much in the spiritual sense in this regard, but the sense of giving your body a chance to reset. Like, this is the same type of element. That 24-hour waiting period does so much to even just kind of stop all the things you're consuming, give your body a chance to reset, and then only add things back in that make you feel good. And so to me, it just went hand in hand with this concept of hushing the house, but to really, like I said, focus in on the time to wait, the time to breathe, the time to reset, just to stop
Yeah, I liked it because it was just it's decluttering with a much lighter feel. It's not a big difficult task. It's mostly fun. That's what I liked about it is, clearing off your mantle, getting rid of all the greenery and lights, and you just have a blank slate, and now I get to do with it whatever I want. And on every surface, dining room table, it's had a plaid blanket on there all Christmas, and now it's like, well, what do I want to do? So yeah, I just thought it was fun and refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the decisions aren't so hard. Like when the things are gone and you've been able to experience the room at peace and at rest, then you're like, oh, I didn't have to decide on each item. Now I'm deciding on the room as a total space. And I'm not worried at all about getting rid of the stuff that I took out. Like I don't miss it.
Yeah, deciding on what you want to keep first makes it so much easier to then decide what to get rid of. I like the order of that. I think that's important.
Yeah. Well, listeners, if you want to Google house hushing, there are several articles, and I can link to a couple in our show notes. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying it. I really appreciate the nester sharing it on her Instagram, and I appreciate her perspective, and I just appreciate her ideas. I wanted to mention, too, that she also has a podcast that I've enjoyed. I think it's called Home Rules or House Rules.
House Rules. Yeah.
Okay, House Rules. So if you want to listen to more about houses and, decorating or whatever, I think she maybe has like 8 episodes out, but I found that to be helpful in getting ready for the holidays.
And I think her latest is about taking down Christmas, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it is, yeah.
Okay, I don't think I listened to that one yet. So, listeners, we'd love to hear your experience with this or your thoughts on it. You can find us on Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. We haven't gotten to do I'm a Fan in a long time, Julie, with you. So,
I know.
Julie, what are you a fan of?
Well, in keeping with our topic, I'm a fan of an Instagram account called Everything in Place. And that's all one word, no spaces or anything, because there's several with that name.
Okay.
Let me see. Her name is Allison, Montreal home organizer.
Oh.
So I think she's an organizing expert. She's done it for like 20 years. She's a mom to 4. And what I like about her is she kind of thinks like all of us think. She doesn't have this elaborate, huge home. I think her pantry's in her garage on shelving. She doesn't buy a lot of expensive organizing tools. She just gives you methods, like for dealing with paperwork and stuff like that. So I found her last week, and I've enjoyed listening to her.
Yeah,
she's got some good tips.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I definitely want to look that up. This is the time of year when people are really interested in that kind of thing, for sure. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I too kept with the topic, and I am hushing my pantry in an effort to buy less, eat what we have, getting creative with the things that have taken up shelf space for too long that when I bought it, I had great ideas for it and I never did it. And so I am looking at my pantry, and slowly I'm going to empty it out by getting creative and using what I have.
For sure.
So I tried to couple those things together.
Yes, I love that idea. I definitely have been going through different closets, and the pantry is one of them, to just kind of figure out, okay, what needs to be happening in here.
Yeah, pantry is a pain point, actually. I forgot about that
one. Yes, yes. Okay, one of the things that I am a fan of is we got to go to the World War II museum recently when we were in New Orleans, and I did not realize how awesome it would be. I mean, I wanted to go because I thought it would be interesting, but it's a great, great museum. And so if you're ever in the area, I highly recommend going. But one of the parts is there's a lot of good video. And one of the little rooms, the theater rooms, they showed this video of different survivors of the concentration camps, and then also testimonials from the people that liberated them. So one of the survivors, she's recorded, and you see her on camera, and she was liberated by an American soldier, her camp was, and then she ended up marrying him. And I, of course, thought, that's a really good story. And so I couldn't get out of my mind. The next morning I said to Steve, I keep on thinking about that woman who married that soldier. I said, that's such a neat story. I said, I wish there was like a book or something about that. And he goes, oh, I bet we could find her on the internet. And she had written a book in the 50s. And I just listened to it this week and it was so good. And so I'll just read a little description. It says that All But My Life, which is the name of her book, is the unforgettable story of Gerda Klein's 6-year ordeal as a victim of Nazi cruelty from her comfortable home in Belitz, which is in Poland, to her miraculous survival and her liberation by American troops, including the man who was to become her husband. And so it's just so interesting. I actually listened to the book and I really enjoyed that. And I don't know if you like World War II. This is just such a cool, true story. I think I've read like a lot of nonfictions, but this was a true story. And she actually kind of made that her life's work, was to go around and give, talk about her experiences with young people. And she ended up living till she was 97, which is just amazing after all she went through.
Wow.
And so it's a really cool book, All But My Life. And I'll link it in the show notes if you want. I listened to it on audio if you want a good audiobook, or you could read it. So
that sounds good. I think I would like that.
Oh, me too. I have read so many fiction World War II accounts. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to get to house hushing. I'm going to try to do it even more this week.
Yeah, it was a good topic.
So fun. Sounds great.
Okay.
All right.
See you next week. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.